Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we begin this edition with the major highlights. Participation of the Minister of Education in the 43rd session of the UNESCO General Conference. Closing ceremony of the 2025 edition of the Bull Shark Maritime Exercise, Ministry of Infrastructure and Equipment and the Egyptian Coast Guard. And on the international scene, Syrian president welcomes UN Security Council decision to lift sanctions. Those were the top headlines. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The public debates of the 43rd General Conference of UNESCO continued on 4th of November 2025. Heads of delegation took the opportunity to present their country's experiences and progress in education, culture and science, and to discuss the tangible impact of UNESCO programs on the ground, stressing the need to refine the organization's mandate and set priorities for the coming years. The sessions included in-depth discussions on ensuring inclusive education for all, mitigating the human impacts of climate change, establishing a robust ethical framework for artificial intelligence, protecting global cultural heritage, and improving financing for UNESCO's activities. The extensive work of the outgoing Director General, Odori Azoli, was widely praised by his heads of a delegation, and his intervention on behalf of the government of Djibouti. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, thanked the Uzbek authorities for their hospitality, commended Mrs. Azoli's leadership over the past 8 years, and congratulated Dr. Khalid Al-Anni on his appointment as UNESCO Director General. The minister stressed that peace and stability are Djibouti's greatest assets under the wise leadership of the President, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, and reported that Djibouti is close to achieving universal education, a milestone reflecting the country's vision for its youth. He also noted recent cultural achievements, including the inscription of Al-Zidu and Sir Isa on the representative lists of the tangible cultural heritage of humanity, and the destination of 7 brother archipelagos, Rasiyan, Khor Angar, Guduria, as the country's first biosphere reserve. The minister outlined Djibouti's educational, cultural, and scientific priorities and presented the government's vision for the organization's future role. On the margins of the UNESCO General Conference in Samarkand, the Djiboutian delegation led by the Minister, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, held several bilateral meetings. The Minister opened talks with his Uzbek counterpart, where both sides expressed their commitment to strengthening cooperation in education, vocational training, and scientific research. Uzbekistan also offered to host a group of Djiboutian students in its universities as a prelude to a memorandum of understanding. The minister met with the Comorian Minister of Culture and Gender Affairs to agree on enhanced educational and university ties, particularly in student training and qualification. He also attended a reception hosted by Malaysia, during which he conducted discussions with the Malaysian ambassador on bordering bilateral cooperation. The minister held talks with the president of the General Conference, the Bangladeshi ambassador, on current challenges facing UNESCO and the impact of its programs. On 4th of November, the newly appointed UNESCO Director General, Dr. Khalid Al-Anni, received the Djiboutian delegation and commended Djibouti's efforts in education and the digitalization of educational institutions. The minister reviewed major achievements of the national education system and affirmed Djibouti's desire to increase its contribution to the organization. The minister also met the outgoing Director General to offer congratulations and appreciation for her support of Djibouti's education and cultural projects. During the vote of 6th of November for her support of General, Mr. Farhan Ali Umar represented Djibouti as an official observer alongside Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Kamil. The session concluded with Dr. Khalid Al-Annani's decisive victory, reflecting Djibouti's full support for his candidacy. As part of the African Youth Forum in the National and Continental Youth Day celebrations, the Ministry of Youth and Culture organized a field visit yesterday to the National Library.
As part of the activity of the Pan-African Youth Forum and the National and African Youth Day, the Ministry of Youth and Culture organized yesterday afternoon a guided tour to the National Library and Archives as well as the EGA Memorial. This activity was attended by an important delegation of young leaders and representatives from several African countries participating in the forum. Its objective was to introduce participants to the host countries' rich documentary, historical and cultural heritage while encouraging dialogue on the preservation of collective memory and the role of youth in promoting African heritage. Welcomed by the head of the institutions, visited the participant tower, the various archives and exhibition areas retracing significant milestones in national and African history. At the EGA Memorial, the delegation paid tribute to the iconic figures of the struggle for freedom, dignity and unity on the continent. This initiative aims to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood and solidarity among African youth while highlighting the richness of the continent's shared cultural heritage. The Ministry of Youth and Culture reaffirms its commitment to supporting African youth in their pursuit of knowledge, unity, and sustainable development by placing culture and memory at the heart of youth policies.
The fifth edition of the African Youth Forum concluded last night with a gala evening at the Ayla Grand Hotel in Djibouti.
The closing of the fifth edition of the Pan-African Youth Forum in Djibouti, a gala evening to crown 3 days of exchanges and inspiration in an elegant and festive atmosphere. The fifth edition of the Pan-African Youth Forum concluded with a gala evening held at the Ela Grand Hotel in Djibouti. This major event crowned 3 days of dialogue, debates, and sharing focused on the aspirations, challenges, and prospects of African youth. The gala was attended by the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibo Mumin Asowe, and brought together delegations, leaders, and senior ministries officials, organizers, guests of honor, young leaders from 55 African countries, as well as institutions, partners, and sponsors came together to celebrate the success of this edition. A speech filled with gratitude and commitment praised the vitality, creativity, and determinations of African youth, while emphasizing the key role of Djibouti in African integration dynamics. The evening featured a variety of musical performances, adding an artistic and convivial flair to this emotionally rich conclusion, full of promise for the future. Djiboutian artists and local folkloric group delighted to the audience with their performances symbolizing the cultural richness and diversity of other countries. The gala ended with a gift-giving ceremony and a family photo to immortalize this moment of unity and shared pride.
The minister affirmed that the Africa's youth are a source of innovation and creativity and reiterated Djibouti's commitment to supporting and empowering them to build a prosperous future for the continent. A promotion ceremony was held yesterday morning in the reception hall of the General Directorate of the National Gendarmerie to mark the graduation and rank elevations of a new cohort of digital police officers drawn from the Gendarmerie, Coast Guard, and National Security Forces who completed a 2-year training program. The ceremony was presided over by the Djibouti Police Prosecutor, Mr. Ibrahim Hussein, and the Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Zakaria Hassanadan, with representatives of the Director General of National Security, the Public Prosecutor's Office, the French Embassy Security Advisor, Coast Guard commanders, and other officers in attendance. The cohort comprised 13 graduates, 10 from the Gendarmerie, 2 from the Coast Guard, and 1 from National Security, who underwent intensive training in criminal procedure law, general and special criminal law, and practical exercises. Upon successful completion, ranks were raised and the ceremony concluded with a traditional group photograph in a celebratory atmosphere. The representative of the public prosecutor praised the graduates' high level of performance in legal and procedural examinations and their policing skills, underscoring the critical role of judicial police officers as the first link in criminal investigations and as key partners of the public prosecutor's office. The Dorali Maritime Training Center hosted the closing ceremony yesterday morning for the 2025 edition of the Multinational Maritime Exercise.
The Hall of Honor of the Naval Training Center of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, located at the Dorale camp, hosted the closing ceremony of the 2025 editions of the Maritime Exercise Balchark on 6 November 2025. The exercise Balchark 26-1 brought together the United States Combined Joint Task Force, Horn of Africa, the Djiboutian Coast Guard, the National Navy, the Rapid Intervention Brigade of the Djiboutian Armed Forces, as well as European Union forces from Operation Atalanta, represented by Spain, French forces stationed in Djibouti, and the Japanese Self-Defense Forces based in Djibouti. In addition to Colonel Waes Omar Bogorre, commander of the Coast Guard, the ceremony was attended by Brigadier General Matthew Brown, commanding general of the CGTF, along with several officers representing national forces and international partners. The Balchark 26-1 exercise aimed to strengthen multilateral interoperability in the field of maritime security and safety among participating partners. The training included maritime and land components, implementing search and rescue operations through realistic and practical scenarios simulating sea accidents and or asymmetric threats. The scale of human and technical resources deployed reflects the importance given to cooperation and collaboration efforts between the various partners in order to ensure effective and professional interoperability. In his speech during the ceremony, Brigadier General Matthew Brown welcomed the excellent relations between the CGTF and its Djiboutian partners from the Coast Guard and the National Navy. He also recalled the strategic geographic importance of the Republic of Djibouti, located at the crossroads of the three continents and a gateway to the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, the Gulf of Aden, and the Indian Ocean. The ceremony concluded with an exchange of gifts between the two commanders, followed by the presentation of certificates to the participants.
U.S. Brigadier General Matthew Brown said that the joint cooperation enables the exchange of expertise and advanced training between forces, contributes to increasing operational readiness to face maritime challenge. Let's listen to him.
To be here today with all of you here at Camp Dorale in Djibouti at the successful conclusion of Exercise Bull Shark 26-1. I want to begin with an African proverb, and it's one that I return to quite often, and one that I'd offer we have and we can all continue to take inspiration from. And that proverb goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This proverb reminds us that our strength lies in our partnerships and our ability to collaborate toward shared interests and mutual goals. In the spirit of that proverb, I'd like to extend my absolute appreciation to every one of our allies and to our strategic partners, the dedicated members of the Djiboutian Coast Guard and the Djiboutian Armed Forces, for going together through this exercise. And I'd submit, more importantly, through the months of planning and preparation that led to the last several days of execution. I also want to personally thank several leaders, and there's so many people that were involved in preparing this, but just to name just a few of the stalwarts: Colonel Wise, Colonel Djama, Colonel Major Demble, Captain Wilcox, Colonel Inskeep, Lieutenant Colonel Aziz, Captain Awale, and so many others whose professionalism and commitment to go together.
Colonel Waes Omar Bogorre emphasized the importance of such exercise for enhancing the Djiboutian Coast Guard's practical capabilities.
As we gather here today to mark the conclusion of the exercise Bull Shark 26-1, it is with immense pride, gratitude, and the optimism that reflect on the achievements of these past days. This exercise has once again demonstrated not only our shared commitment to maritime security and safety, but also the growing interdependence and the operability among our forces. The key pillars for ensuring peace, stability, and the prosperity across our region and beyond. Djibouti's strategic location of the crossroads of Africa and the Middle East and the key global maritime routes underscores the vital importance of exercise such as this one. Bulk Shark Exercise 26-1 has reaffirmed that the challenges and the asymmetric we face that requires a coordination, multinational, and the multifaceted response. Bulk Shark 26-1 has been a resounding success because of the collaborative spirit and the professionalism demonstrated by all participants. The Djiboutian Coast Guard, Djiboutian Navy, and the Djibouti Army Forces, whose discipline, adaptability, and their resilience were evident throughout every phase of the operations. Our esteemed international partners, the United States of America, representing the combined Joint Task Force on Africa forces, the European Union represented France, Italy, and Spain, and so on.
The Djiboutian Society of Pediatrics held its second annual meeting last evening at the Premier Hotel, gathering leading child health specialists committed to improving and safeguarding children's health in Djibouti. The meeting represented a significant collective step towards positioning children at the center of the national health system and building a healthier, fairer future generation. Ali Mohammed, and attended by the SDP President Emma Asina, the Society's Vice President Dr. Abdurrahman Mu'min, and health workers to ensure high-quality care for every child, strengthen preventative measures from pregnancy through school age, and promote immunization, nutrition, mental health, and early detection of neurodevelopmental disorders, and also family support. Dr. Anissa called for placing the child at the heart of the health system and ensuring the provision of care and preventive services for all children, particularly the most vulnerable, said Dr. Emma Asina. For his part, the Secretary General emphasized the importance of collaboration among all medical professionals to strengthen health system integration and praised the SDP's leadership and the contributions of young doctors to health sector development. The national closing ceremony was held yesterday for the Codex Alimentarius Capacity Building Workshop that began on 3rd of November at the Directorate of Veterinary Services and Animal Resources.
Closing ceremony of the national workshop on strengthening capacities related to the Codex Alimentarius. The closing ceremony of the national capacity building workshop on the Codex Alimentarius food code, which opened on 3 November, was held this morning at the Directorate of Veterinary Services and Livestock. This workshop, organized by the Directorate of Livestock and Veterinary Services in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, is part of the ongoing effort to improve food safety and strengthen the technical skills of national stakeholders involved in the implementation of Codex Alimentarius standards. Over a period of 4 days, 25 controllers and inspectors from various laboratories and relevant institutions were trained by the Djiboutian Agency for Standards and Quality on the principles, procedures, and best practices of the Codex Alimentarius with the aim of harmonizing national standards with the international food safety benchmark. In his closing remarks, Mr. Ahmed Hashi, representative of the Veterinary Services and Livestock, praised the Food Agriculture Organization's support and highlighted the importance of the Codex as a key tool to protect consumer health, promote fair food trade, and strengthen confidence in the national food quality control system. This workshop thus represents a significant step towards the consolidation of a safe food system that complies with the international standards.
The second World Summit on Social Development concluded in Doha yesterday, following 2 days of intensive discussions on the summit's three core pillars: poverty eradication, full and decent employment for all, and strengthened social inclusion. Commitments adopted during the 2 days aim to open a new phase of collective action for a more equitable and prosperous future. Speaking on behalf of Djibouti, the senior advisor at the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity reviewed government efforts to promote inclusive and sustainable social development under President Ismail Omar Guelleh. He stated that progress must translate into tangible and equitable improvements in every citizen's living conditions, noting that despite limited resources, Djibouti hosts more than 36,000 refugees and serves as a transit country for over 200,000 migrants. He called on the international community to reaffirm and reinforce its solidarity with Djibouti in meeting these humanitarian responsibilities. On the margins of the Doha summit that was held from 4th to 6th of November 2025, Djibouti organized a round table to present government efforts under President Ismail Omar Guelleh on skills development and youth labor market integration. The Director General of the National Institute of Public Administration, Mr. Shamaki Idris Ali, presented a national strategy based on integrated program of training, guidance, and vocational qualification. The event was attended by Mr. Jalal Abdellatif, representative of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, and members of the Djiboutian delegation led by the ministry's senior advisor, who underlined the importance of these programs for meeting youth expectations. Experts from South Africa and the United Kingdom, international organization representatives, and delegations from friendly countries commended Djibouti's mechanisms to support job-seeking youth and to equip them with foundational skills for successful labor market integration. A phenomenon occurred this morning at Aram Beach in Djibouti, where thousands of crabs were washed ashore following an unusual high tide. The event alarmed residents and local authorities, although no similar effects were reported on the other beaches in the capital. The Ministry of Environment dispatched expert teams to the site to collect samples from the standard red carps and seawater for laboratory tests to determine whether the event resulted from the natural causes such as changes in currents or from environmental factors like pollution or ecological imbalance. The ministry noted that such mass standings have been recorded previously on the same beach without affecting our other capital beaches. It added that the situation is under control, that there is no immediate risk to public health or the local ecosystem, and investigations will continue to identify the causes and prevent reoccurrence. Citizens were urged to exercise caution and report any unusual coastal observations to authorities. The ministry thanked the expert and field teams for their swift response and commitment to environmental protection. The Deputy Director General of the International Organization for Migration carried out an official visit to the Ali Sibih region as part of the mission to strengthen cooperation between IOM, the government of Djibouti, and local authorities on migration, governance, and community protection. Mrs. Daniels arrived in Ali Sibih with senior staff, was warmly received by the regional governor, Mr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Bonoita, the regional council president, Mr. Sharmaki Hassan Allale, the IOM Regional Development Agency Director, Mr. Mahdi Mohammed, the regional hospital director, Mr. Mohammed Miguel Hassan, the local battalion commander, Colonel Usman, and the acting head of the Ali Sibih police unit, Mr. Abdulrazak Abdullah Ubsiye. A working meeting between IOM and local officials addressed ways to enhance coordination to better manage migration flows, support host communities, and protect vulnerable migrants passing through Ali Sibih, a key transit point in the regional migration route. Mrs. Daniels visited the Avas agency in Ali Sibih and the border point at Galile to assist IOM operations and border migration management challenges. IOM's Djibouti office continues to work closely with government and communities to strengthen migration governance, save lives, and contribute to sustainable development in affected border areas. The visit underscores IOM's commitment to supporting national efforts for safe, orderly, and regular migration in line with global priorities. The Tajarrah port has experienced increased maritime activity in recent days, signaling a new phase of growth for ports in the north of the country. The port recently received 2 dry cargo commercial vessels, simultaneously demonstrating its capacity to handle diverse shipment types and respond effectively and efficiently to modern maritime trade demands. Thanks to ready technical crews and modern port equipment, unloading operations were completed rapidly, reflecting the port's strong operational performance in handling dry and conventional cargo. The concurrent arrivals indicate steady growth in port traffic, and the port is preparing to receive further commercial vessels in the coming period, reinforcing its strategic role in regional and international shipping lanes. Management is pursuing service development and activity diversification to attract investment and provide modern, secure services that comply with international standards, positioning Tajarrah as a key driver of economic activity in the north. The activity has also generated a local economic boost in Tajarrah city, with upticks in trade, restaurants, transport services, and new job opportunities for the youth. The port's Director General, Mr. Omar Hassan Omar, said that this rising activity reflects a growing maritime dynamic that supports regional development. The successive arrivals of vessels have stimulated the local economy and improved living standards in the north. He asserted that the port has all the elements required to be primary lever for maritime economic growth here in Djibouti. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the UN Security Council on Thursday approved a resolution lifting sanctions on Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara and his Interior Minister Anas Qatab, a decision welcomed by Damascus, which expressed appreciation to the United States and allied states. President al-Shara said on Friday that he welcomed the Security Council's decision and described it as a step in the right direction after a 14-member state vote. Well, by this, our blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more as usual. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.